Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jordan here with another live BattleCast. So in this particular game, this is the Grim and the Grave DLC. I will be using some new units here, so let's go ahead and get things started here. I'm gonna go with Volkmar. I really like him. I like that you can have a very strong infantry corps and buff a lot of your units with Fate's Bastion, the Grand Hammer of Sigmar. Really like all those effects. So definitely a lot of fun there. Let's go with an Amber Wizard as well. And I am playing against the Dwarves, so you really don't need to take any liberties in regards to keeping all your units on the ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those. Click off these spells. I usually just bring Flock of Doom, Wyson's Wild Form, and then the Transformation of Kadan is all you really need, to be honest. Not a huge fan of the Amber Spear, but again, it's not terrible. Let's get this guy, put him on a Pegasus. And again, guys, they did nerf the healing. Characters can only heal for a certain amount per game. So just getting a single potion is usually satisfactory and will do the job. So against Dwarfs, you usually are going to be marching into some missile fire. So I'd recommend getting a front line of swordsmen. I just like to bring a few of them. They're cheap, they're shielded. They're not really going to do much damage to the dwarves. They don't have armor piercing, so that's where you bring in the great swords. So then behind them, follow up with a few units of great swords. So just my 2 cents there. Then another good choice is the great cannon. So it's armor piercing, anti-large, which isn't really pertinent, but it has really far range, and it has 450, and I believe that's quite a bit further than the dwarves. So let's go ahead and let's see what the difference in combat stats here is. So if I have this, slightly more missile damage, yeah, I don't know if it's worth it. So let's just go with the 2 great cannons there. As far as missile units goes, it's not a bad idea to bring some handgunners. I don't think the Free Company Militia will be that great because you really need armor piercing against the dwarves. So go ahead and get some handgunners there. I'm kind of a little pinched here, so maybe just one group of handgunners, maybe cut a greatsword there, because having a group of Demogryph Knights, just a standard armor piercing against the dwarves, is very strong. So that looks like a pretty healthy army composition. I have some dive, I have some harass, I have all kinds of options there. So let's go ahead and get started. And just my honest opinion, I don't think that Volkmar is the best choice against the dwarves, but I just want to try him out, and he seems like a lot of fun. So maybe he can make those great swords generate some pretty good value there. He's pretty cool. And also, if you get him on his what is that called again? The War Altar of Sigmar, it does make him unbreakable, which is very cool. I've had some pretty good games with that, and it's a lot of fun for sure. But yeah, I really like the new units of Renown. Pretty fun. I like the Flagellants, not against the dwarves, but they're pretty decent in other matchups. And also, the Free Company Militia are very cool with the Vanguard deployment. It might not have even been a bad idea to get like one of them, but it also depends on the map. So, you can get them deployed behind the enemy line, sneak up behind an artillery line, and they are pretty decent in melee, especially the Renowned unit. Those guys can hang. They have pretty decent melee combat stats and, do a pretty good job. So let's see how this game unfolds. It's definitely tough for the dwarves to deal with Empire Siege because their artillery, they don't have as much range, which is a little ludicrous to me. You'd think that the dwarves would be like the founding fathers of artillery warfare and, would have the edge there because, again, them lacking mobility, they should have the means to draw opponents to them and, kind of make the fight unfold that way. But it's definitely tough. But what can you do, Can't win them all. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one. I haven't played a lot of dwarves lately. I'm looking forward to seeing what they end up doing with the next few DLCs and what units they're going to give to dwarves and perhaps chaos. I feel like they need a lot of help. So we'll go ahead and hopefully get to the bottom of that. So, all right, guys, looks like it's showtime. So it's army deployment. So I'm going to get my group back here. I usually do that right away just to kind of clean up my front line here. So let's put, let's put some swordsmen in the front line here. Behind them, we will put some great swords. And again, in some builds, I like to put my missile units in the middle and sandwich them to protect them against flanking maneuvers, but against the dwarves, you don't really have to worry. So I'm going to put those guys back there so then I can float them around whichever flank I have at that current moment and make them useful in that way. So let's go ahead and put the captain. Let's put Volkmar there. Actually, let's keep the captain back here. Volkmar can be there. He provides a lot of great buffs to your troops. You guys take a look. He provides benediction, leadership, all kinds of different stats. So he's very cool. And his periodic buffs are quite strong as well. So we'll go ahead and lock those guys down. These 2 are flying, so I'll probably keep them in a group so I can kind of dive bomb and do my thing with those. Make sure to lock your group if you work on a formation like this, because then you see I can move them around. So, oh, did I just screw that up? There we go. All right. So we'll get our cannons deployed here. You don't always want to put them right next to each other. Just put a little separation so that if they're targeting this one, their misfires won't hit the other one. So splitting them up like that a little bit is usually a pretty good choice in my opinion. So I got these guys ready. I got this guy. It doesn't really matter where he goes. He's going to be running all over the place. So, and another thing, guys, with the lore of the wild, or excuse me, the lore of beasts, they did raise the cost of the transformation of Kadan. So now it costs 21 winds of magic to summon a Manticore, which is it's a pretty big change for sure. But it's good because a lot of the strategies, like you guys saw with Beastmen and different things like this, people were just summoning 2 Cygors or 2 of those, a bunch of Manticores, and just running shop. So, all right, so battle's up. Let's go ahead and take some pot shots here. I'm gonna go ahead and fly my Empire Captain here, get him in position there, and it looks like, am I in range of his cannons? Yes, I am. So, unfortunately for me, it looks like I'm gonna advance here. I'm gonna send my cavalry around the flanks here. So right now, I'm just gonna kind of use my Amber Wizard and my Empire Captain to harass his cannon line, send them up here. Let's see, does he have any missile units to harass me with? He does have Quarrelers, which at least they don't have armor piercing. So let's fly him around, fly this guy around the wings here, and we'll just march up here. He does have the front line, or the high ground here, which is a little tough. So I'm taking some missile fire. So a lot of times in this situation, I just want to target his missile units because shooting at those cannons isn't going to be the most cost effective because they're small targets. So let's go ahead and fly him in there, get the cavalry around the back. We got this Amber Wizard here. So I'm just waiting to summon that Manticore, basically. It's really important. So Volkmar's ready, the boys are on the way. And a lot of people don't expect you to be this brazen, Oh, he does have is that an organ gun? Oh man, I totally missed that. All right, let's fly that around. Let's fly this around here. So you don't want to let that organ gun get locked on. You can see it's turning around to try and shoot me here. So let's pull the Demogryph Knights out here. And we're almost on the front line. This is good. I'm not taking a lot of missile fire right now. So I'm pretty happy about this. So let's come up and around and hit the cannon there. And right now, come on, give me enough of that Manticore. Where is it? All right, I need to shut down that organ gun because I can't let it open fire on my front line. Let's pull in the cavalry here. Let's advance here on the front. And, oh good, these Thunderers are a little out of position. So my Empire Captain's on there, which is fine. He's covering here. Cavalry are coming in the wings here, and he's got some Quarrelers here. I'm going to take advantage of those ones on the high ground. Let's engage the front line here. Let's go ahead and get this and send these guys here. Volkmar's engaged. So he's taking a lot of damage, but that's fine. That organ gun would have been absolutely devastating. So now I got my Demogryph Knights who got an excellent engagement. So let's go ahead and switch the targeting here. Target this other group of Quarrelers. And they did good damage. So let's cycle them out before they get tied up here. I got these guys taking out those Thunderers. Things are going pretty well. And now Volkmar's in here. So just wait till he has that big spread of buffs here. And that front line's going to be strong now. It's going to be really, really good. So the Demogryph Knights did a great job. So I'm going to go ahead and cycle them back in. This Empire Captain's still tying him up. And the Manticore and the other guy are doing quite well as well. So he has a pretty big cluster back here of troops. I'm going to use Flock of Doom, which is going to be pretty good. So the Empire Captain did get chased off, which is totally okay. I get a nice cycle charge on that Grudge Thrower. Let's Michael that over there. So the Great Swords and Volkmar are in here. They're putting in some work, but Volkmar's taking a little bit of damage. So let's go ahead and pull them back. Looks like this is his Runesmith. So that's a good target for us to chase down there. And thankfully, oh, I totally forgot about these guys. So let's get them. He has a little bit of a high ground here, so I'm going to have a good angle. So let's get Volkmar over here in the wings, have him come in. Empire Captain, go ahead and move those to the Empire, to the gun there. And I pretty much cleaned up shop back there with those Demogryph Knights, so things are going pretty well. Remember to cycle through your units and constantly be checking for buffs. Looks like he's targeting Volkmar, actually, so I have to be careful there. So I do have this nice firing line back here, which is doing pretty well. My opponent's doing a good job keeping the Slayers to protect his units. Definitely a good strategy, but right now I have a pretty big front line presence here. Let's go ahead and, let's save up. Let's use another Flock of Doom back here. These guys. So these Demogryph Knights, remember to keep cycling them. You don't want them to get tied up. So let's path them. Let's chase down some of his routing units to make sure they don't come back. And we'll go around and get that organ gun again. Volkmar, I pulled him back. Just being a little cautious. I'm actually going to move these handgunners over here to get a better angle. Dive this guy here. Things are going pretty well. Volkmar, his buffs are just now coming back up, so let's get him right front and center. Get a nice buff here. This is going to give damage resistance. And move him right here and then use his bombardment ability. So these handgunners are going to get in nice position here. Remember, keep cycling. You don't want to let those Slayers get you locked down. So back here, my cannons are still shooting, generating some pretty good value. let's go ahead and shoot right here at that group of Slayers. Even though it's not, you know, taking advantage of the armor piercing, they're kind of clustered there, so he's having some problems keeping up. So let's use the battle resistance, which is going to be good. The Dwarven line's holding pretty well, though. Man, and he does have that runesmith in there. I probably should target that in some way. So, oh man, these handgunners are pretty exposed right now. That's definitely tough. So let's go ahead and pull these guys to cover for him, because I don't want them to get overwhelmed there. And let's take the Manticore and keep it on the organ gun. It looks like the Demogryph Knights was able to cycle them out. Let's bring them back in. Now these handgunners are just shooting these guys point blank, which is great, and they're tied up on the Empire Captain. Things are going pretty well. Seems like he's doing really well in the front line, though, so I got to get out of here. I got to pull up and around. Got to get out of there. Right now, let's reposition just a little bit. I'm going to have to reform a lot of my ranks, I think, because he did win the melee engagement. You know, he had that strong runesmith presence and all that stuff, so. All right, so let's get these guys engaged on the Slayers. Let's reform ranks here. And let's bring these guys over here and continue to have the cannon fire right in the center line there. Because back here, I'm kind of just running shop on a lot of his guys, which is good. Definitely can't complain. So I need to run over these Slayers here. Right now, I need to loop up and around. Let's get these guys. Let's start shooting here. Let's reform my ranks, because a lot of my troops are actually coming back from route now, which is good. And you can see those dwarves are taking a beating there. Let's go ahead and... Oh no, I need to get out of here. They're taking a beat down. So it looks like the Slayers, let's go ahead. They're isolated, might as well, right? Just take advantage of them. Let's use some bombardment, use a buff there, just to finish them off. Getting some nice fire there. That's definitely nice. Got to make sure the cannons are shooting into those hammers. Those guys are going to do some serious work. So let's go ahead and reform ranks back here. Just kind of draw them out as far as you possibly can. And yeah, he's taking some cannon fire, which is good. And it looks like I finally was able to clean up that group of Slayers. So let's bring these guys here. Let's dive here on the wings, because then that'll force him to come over. He sees a Flock of Doom here, which is good. And then once my ranks are reformed, I can hopefully engage and get Volkmar in position here. So let's protect these cannons. Things are going good. His units are slowly going to start getting picked off, because he did lose a lot of his range, you know, firepower, and he's taking some serious fire. So you constantly got to be cycling these guys. You don't want to leave him sitting in one spot. And also, you don't want to let Ungrim get his paws on you, because that guy is just an absolute monster. So, all right, let's form the battle lines here, right there. Volkmar, let's wrap him up around, put him in a different group so he's not toggled with those guys. All right, so we need to keep running. So let's get some shots on those hammers, because he kind of like looks like he went to go reform, and I think I might be able to cheese out these Slayers really quick. So let's go ahead and do that with a cycle charge here. This isn't optimal, but it's not terrible either. And I think these units all together should be able to kill that group of Slayers. So let's get that reformed ranks there, and he is taking some serious firepower now. And it looks like I was able to just take out those Slayers. That bombardment ability is actually not half bad. All right, so I need to route these guys up, and then send these guys in. Send these guys in, and I think it's time to just go for Ungrim over here. So I get a nice rear charge there. Well, that's actually his runesmith, but now Ungrim's actually isolated, which is good. So I can use my buffs from Volkmar to really just make all those guys drop the hammer, and hopefully I can do pretty good at taking him out there. So we see how that goes. So the battle line's engaged pretty well here, and it looks like my handgunners are actually tied up, so you want to be cycling them back. And let's shoot at some of his range units to make sure they're not able to apply much pressure there. So I got the unit buffs here, and man, that Ungrim is just pure savage over here. He's just sturdy and strong, and got a nice hit on Volkmar there. So I don't know if I want to be engaged in this way. So let's go ahead and switch over to the runesmith here. It's providing some nice buffs. So I just got to make sure that, you know, I can get that guy down. And I do have Weisson's Wild Form, so now's a good time, because all my guys are like grouped up. And then let's use the Flock of Doom also, which will be quite good. And then this guy can start shooting at Ungrim here. Yeah, and it looks like the runesmith is shattered at this point. Ungrim is still in pretty good health, so let's make sure to use that. Let's use Grand Soulfire, why not? Man, that was a close battle. I had to kite him back. That Dwarven infantry line was just so resolute. You know, one advantage I did have going for me was that, you know, I did have the missile superiority, so those cannons were able to generate pretty big value this whole game. So right now, I mean, I could just run from Ungrim and kite him out, but, you know, why not? I have all these troops. I don't need to worry. they'll get him down eventually. You know, if you really wanted to be, you know, competitive about it, you just cycle these guys out. Let's position these guys so they can get him in the wings. Yeah, looks like he has some Slayers coming back. So now I'm just going to cycle charge him, which is what you want to do. Because, again, Ungrim could, you know, cheese me out here. Let's get a charge. We'll knock him over, which is good. Let's get the Manticore, have it land in the Slayers here. And it looks like I have another Weisson's Wild Form, so let's go ahead and use that just to make sure that we can drive the point home. Not sure what those guys are doing out there. Doesn't look like there's any other Dwarven units coming back, so... yeah, I think we're good. I think that's all she wrote, guys. I would fast forward it, but I think my opponent wants to fight it out. Just use that. Why the heck not? Use that. Use the buffs here. Use the bombardment. All that stuff. And Ungrim should be going down shortly, but yeah, I really like Volkmar. He seems like a lot of fun. I love the buffs. It definitely adds a new playstyle to the Empire. You know, a lot of times the Empire infantry line would, you know, didn't really have. I mean, Franz is, you know, a good leader, but you know, he didn't provide that widespread buff, which I thought was so cool. So again, I was definitely a big fan of that. But yeah, Volkmar was cool. He you know, definitely kept my infantry line in there with those perpetual damage resistance buffs. But at the end of the day, when you have Ungrim as well as a runesmith, and he brought hammers and, you know, had a lot of strength, but I was able to shut down his organ gun you guys saw with the Manticore harass and different things like that. So it was definitely a great game. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate the support. I hope you enjoy this Battlecast. And again, good game to Crony. He played very well. I know the Dwarves, from personal experience, are one of the harder factions to play, and I definitely think the Empire has huge advantages over them. So, you know, anytime you can make a game that close, it's just a testament to your ability. So really good game to Crony. Appreciate it, and talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. More content coming this weekend. Take care.